Hello, good evening, good afternoon, good possibly morning. I don't know. If you're watching in Australia, maybe it's in the morning now. I think it is in the morning. How's it going? Welcome to Basking in the Evergreen with me, David Green, the after show to the last week's Green Room. I am here with JD Estrada. We'll be talking for the next hour. Afterwards, please stay tuned because the runners up will be coming on, and it'll be a conflagration of Nickies, which I think is the official term of when more than one Nicky is put in the same room as each other. Conflagration of Nickies. We have Anita, we have Nikki. How's it going? Also, don't forget to send a star to let our hosts and producers know how much you appreciate what they do here at Go Indie Now. Every time you contribute, you get entered into our season prize package drawing with gift cards, swag, and more, which I believe is some horrible cooking from Ron La. I think it's going to be sincere. I don't know, maybe. JD, how's it going? How's things?
All is good. Enjoying the long weekend in the States. I'm in Atlanta. Today was a very chill day because the weather had different plans. If you had plans to be outdoors, it wasn't gonna happen. But I didn't need that. I had a great day. So it's all good. Getting ready for a little trip with the missus
Excellent.
for next weekend. So we'll see how much fun we have.
Excellent stuff. People that are watching or in the comments are already comment away. If you have any questions at all for JD, please do chime in with them and we'll keep getting to your comments. I was talking to someone recently. I can't remember, my memory is a bit flighty at the moment, but I was talking to someone from Atlanta who was in Atlanta, maybe two people that are in Atlanta at the same time. And I said that it seems just unreasonably hot there all the time, but not just hot, just really, really sweaty and sticky. Because there's a few things that are filmed in Atlanta, like The Walking Dead, and everyone is just sweaty. Even the zombies are sweaty.
They sweat brains. Coming from Puerto Rico, the thing is that the oppressive heat of my home island is superior to Atlanta, but it is not as bad. I've been in certain parts of Florida, and I haven't been in the worst parts of Florida, and I haven't been to Mississippi, and I haven't been to Louisiana, and those places are very swamp-like, and that I don't even want to imagine during the summer. Atlanta gets
Mm,
hot. The thing is that you go out and at least for me, it takes a while for it to register. And I remember the first summer that I was here when I moved, I was just gonna walk around. And I'm walking around and I'm walking around and just looking and just trying to understand and get to know the city. And suddenly I go like, wow, I feel kind of funky. I don't know what's wrong. And I hit like this little piece of shade and I felt my body temp go like, oh, I need this. And I go like, oh, and I suddenly understood that proverb that a frog doesn't know it's getting boiled if you go up 1 degree.
right.
I almost had a heat stroke.
Mm,
Versus Puerto Rico, as soon as you open the doors, it's like
right.
it's a blast of heat.
Mm. Yeah, I don't think I could cope with that. I was in Florida. I've been to America a few times, but I was in Florida once in the middle of January, which was nice. It was like we turned up at the hotel. It was a Hotel Cabana Bay in Universal, and it was 26 degrees, I think it was, in our temperature, not in yours. 26 Celsius. And when we were checking in, and the receptionist was like, "We're very sorry about the weather today. It's quite cold." We're like, "You joking? This is our summer. this is
Eh, eh,
this is perfect."
well, the thing is that Puerto Rico and places in Florida, they sell winter wear, and the thing is that Puerto Rico is it's a tropical island in the middle of the Caribbean, or at the beginning of the Caribbean, depends on how you want to see it.
Hmm,
And they sell UGG boots, and
right.
it's like,
Yeah,
why?
that is true. It does seem like it's a very like concretey kind of. Again, this
I,
is mainly just from The Walking Dead.
Yeah, but there is a lot of construction in buildings, but I've been in other states, and I also come from Puerto Rico, and in terms of tree to concrete, it's a lot more balanced than several other cities. It's not like New York. New York is a cauldron.
Hmm. Yes. Hi, Christy.
Hey, how
How's
you
it
doing,
going?
Christy?
Yeah, it's a funny one. I think it's a. I don't know why we've got onto geography for, but let's go with it for now.
Why not?
Why not? 'Cause it's a funny one because you know when you think about America, like especially from a European perspective, we think of it as like this big country, and obviously it's got a vast and varied landscape and everything like that. But mainly people think of it as like being, especially from the UK and Ireland, we think of it as being like nicer in terms of weather. But we're actually like, Ireland is further north than a lot of like it's further north than New York is. Ireland is pretty much level with Newfoundland, really. But New York is much colder than Ireland is, and it gets very, which Ireland never does.
No, it's all because of air currents and stuff like that. I remember
Exactly.
going
Yeah.
to New York in May for my oldest brother's. It was his graduation from college, and it was 25 degrees, and I was like, "It's May, it's gonna be hot," and I was ill-equipped, and I was freezing my ass off.
Yeah. We don't get it again because of the Atlantic drift. I think it is. We get this like this kind of weird, just it's not tropical and it's not. It's just. I
Mid.
like to say it's like grey weather, just greyness. We get a few weeks every year where it's like where there's colour and there's heat, but mostly it's just grey. And Newfoundland is way cold. We don't get four seasons in Ireland. We just get this like merger of all seasons, sometimes in the same day. Which and that could be in August. It could be in January. We don't know what's going to happen.
No.
So anyway, we'll move off from the weather and in general. And why don't you start? People will know who you are, I'm sure. But
Yeah, we just
tell everyone who's watching a little bit about yourself.
yeah, we just started waffling off about the weather. But hey, it's the most British conversation between two people who technically aren't British. People say
Exactly.
that I have British sensitivities, and some people have accused me of being a fake Puerto Rican in more than one context. And I go like, "What the?" And then they hear me talk in Spanish, and they go like, "No, he's Puerto Rican. He's very Puerto Rican." My name is JD Estrada. I'm an indie author from Puerto Rico. I decided to move 7 years ago to the wonderful land of Atlanta because I wanted to see the real life world premiere of The Walking Dead, apparently. Something about a virus, stuff like that. I've been at the author thing for a decade. And the thing is that my first book was released 2013 digitally, and it took me like a full year to be able to release it physically at an event. Because if you want to know who and how I am, that's a perfect example. I wing it like it's nobody's business. And eventually I figure it out, and people go like, "Oh, that was really cool. How'd you do that?" And I'm like, "I don't know. I just eventually got done." I've done it 21 times with 21 different books across a span of genres, including poetry, nonfiction, urban fantasy, middle grade fantasy, and a lot of poetry. People go like, "Oh, so what type of poetry?" And I'm like, depends on what you like. There's one collection that's like Edgar Allan Poe. There's one that's more slices of life. There's one that is positive poetry. There's one that is worthy of the Addams Family library. There's not just one type of poetry that you can have, and people limit themselves and think that everything has to be like Emily Dickinson, and she is fantastic, but she's not everyone's cup of tea. And there are several types of tea out there.
There is a lot. There is a lot of tea. Weather is also Canadian. Well, Canadians are more European than North American, I think, generally. With their sensibilities. I mean, half of them are French. So I'm sure they'd prefer to be more known as European as well. So first of all, before we start talking about, because the way you kind of work intrigues me with your your multi-genre approach, and they do use the metric system as well. And there's just lots more things. Don't they drive on the left-hand side as well? No, they don't drive on the left, do they? I need someone to tell us.
That's a good question.
Yeah, it's a good question. There's a few. There's only if they don't. Joe is the ambassador, the Californian ambassador to Canada tonight. Yeah, so the multi-genre way that you work and everything like that is intriguing. But before we get to that, and Nikki has chimed in with a question as well. But before we get to Nikki's question, I want to know is because I don't win things very much in my life. So how do you feel about winning?
Yeah.
The green room. How do you feel about being a winner?
I went up against Nikki, and I think it could have gone either way. She is sensational, and I was just really happy to have that conversation with you too. So I think everyone was a winner. I'm also not used to winning stuff, even though this book won an award, but this copy doesn't have the little label that I have.
Congratulations.
I don't. I put the labels, the prizes on the back because I bust my ass so much on the covers that I'm like, I'm not gonna cover that up. It's like, yeah, but you won an award, and I'm like, I won an award. I just saw someone that I know who's also from Puerto Rico who won a Bram Stoker award. That's an award. That you put on your cover.
All awards are awards. There you go.
Yeah, and the thing is that I had a lot of fun with that book. So yeah, I went on a tangent there. I was thinking about Nikki's question too.
So but you don't not there's not a lot of winners of the green room so far. I think there's been maybe five. I think you're the fifth person to win. That's a pretty exclusive list.
I think I'm number six. Six. Yeah, there you go.
There we go.
Six is a number, and not the number of the base, but six is a number that didn't mean much to me until a while back. And then some things started clicking. I'm like, so I'm really happy that it also happened to be the sixth.
Right.
It's cool because it's two people talking earnestly about things that they care about. I brought three topics that I feel extremely strong about. I wouldn't have changed any of my topics to get 3 out of 3. It's just the format is bring something that you feel passionately that should be banished to hell. And I was like, yeah, I have a list.
Yeah, there's more than 3. No one's got 3 out of 3 yet. But I did kind of tweak it because the first show that I did, I was kind of doing who kind of done each round at the end of each round. And it just so happened that it was like 1-1-1-0, then 1-1, then 2-1, which was great. But then I was thinking, if in the future this is like 2-0, then the third one just like the tension is gone. So I had to kind of change it. But no one's got a clean sweep yet. Anyway, not yet.
Right.
So Anita does confirm
we need
that
the tension.
we need the tension. It needs to be there. Anita confirms that Canada is just a cross between American and British stuff and a bit of French thrown in. Ireland is quite the same, not with French, but we have a lot of Irish stuff. But then we have like this. We have a bunch of stuff from England, a bunch of American stuff, and some European stuff as well, just thrown in there, just for why not? And it's like, yeah, let's just do it. So Nikki has a question for you before we get to some of mine. So she says, do you have fun with the translations? I think of all the little things that don't translate well between English and Spanish, idioms and such. Do you get to rewrite parts that way?
Well, particularly this book is the all English version, if you can read that. All English version of 2020. 2020 is my bilingual collection that has poetry, short stories, and essays in English and Spanish across a wide array of topics and styles. It was me really pushing myself in terms of range. And the thing is that what I write in English is not what I write in Spanish. It's not translations. It's not direct. That's going to be a future project where I do the English version of something and then I do the Spanish version, and then vice versa. I write something first in Spanish and then I translate. The thing is that a lot of people, when they're writing, they think in their native language and then they decode and do stuff like that. When I write in English, I'm thinking in English. When I write in Spanish, I'm thinking in Spanish. Yes, there can be a little bit of seepage here and there, but normally that's how I do it. Here, this is just one of several projects that I'm like, that's gonna be easy. I can do the translations, and it's 20 pieces. I can do that in a couple of months' time. And when you grab the bull by the horns, you go like, oh yeah, he kicks. Translating poetry, the first decision there was that I wasn't gonna be as loyal to the rhyme scheme that I had in one language, from one language to the other, just because it adds hurdles that I don't think add to the process. It's just making things. It's a Rube Goldberg machine for poetry, which it sounds unpleasant. Then when I translated it, so basically I translated it, then I deleted the other one, and I read it and I read it and I tweaked and I tweaked until I had basically a new poem in the other language. And that was a really fascinating experience because it was almost alchemy that way. Some things don't.
Was it kind of based on the same theme, but it was just
No,
a different approach?
It's a translation, and then I tweaked it, but not at, well, depends on the poem. Some poems changed a lot. Others were really, really close to the Spanish version. If you see, it's almost apples to apples, and others it's like apples to I don't know what fruit this is. It's something completely different. That was in terms of that. In terms of the essays, there's a lot of slang. There's a lot of stuff that happens in each language that doesn't translate. Plus, when I did the all English version, I realized that I don't write in Spanish. I write in Puerto Rican, and a text translator helped me dig. I pretty much had to translate from scratch everything that you read in that book. The short stories, that's where things got really interesting. Specifically, there's a short story called Lane Change. In Spanish is Cambio de Carril. The short story is about a young man who's stuck in a traffic jam, and the literary devices that kind of push forward the narrative, it also includes billboards that he sees on the street. Okay, a couple of caveats. If you're not in Puerto Rico, if you've never been in a traffic jam in Puerto Rico, if you don't see, if you're not familiar with those billboards, those are three things that are already going to be problematic for a reader. And I'm like, crap, right. I have to adjust all of that. Plus, there's more than one occasion where the protagonist who's driving, he's talking to himself, and he corrects himself at least on 4 occasions in the Spanish story because he says something in English rather than say it in Spanish. For example, instead of saying I'm going to eat a sandwich, he would say me voy a comer un sándwich, and it should be emparedado or some other way of saying it properly in Spanish and not an Anglicism. Right. So between those 4 things, I also had to do a heavy lift in terms of rewrite, just because I had to take into account, okay, someone who doesn't understand anything about Puerto Rico is going to read this, and they have to take something away. Mm-hmm. When I chose beta readers for this, a lot of people from Puerto Rico were like, "Oh, I love to read it," and I'm like, "Thank you, but I can't use you," because anyone who knows Spanish is not going to tell me what I need to know. I needed to actually ask people that only know English to make sure that the translation was correct. And the same thing I'm going to have to do when I do the Y'all Spanish version. It can't be someone who's like super fluent and native speaker in Spanish, in English. It has to be someone who depends almost solely on Spanish just to make sure that it works in Spanish. So yeah, it gets complicated. But again, when I write in English, it's thought, developed, written, edited, and just everything in that language. I know a lot of people who write in Spanish and then translate, or they mix and match, and I don't know how they can do it because for me it would be a jumble.
Right. Yeah. And it's because as you say, I mean, it's not to the same extent, but like, you know, I have stuff that's set in my own world that I've created, which is fine. But I have stuff that's set in America, and it's like there's some sayings and there's some phrases that I would use that would people just be like, American people be like, what are you talking about? What is this thing that what you're trying to say? And it's one of those things that, like, they do sneak in there, so you have to get like Nikki, who talk about treats for people who are bilingual. She's one of my beta readers, and I need an American person to actually like, does this exist in America? Does this saying, is it a thing? Please like check all the bits where I've said bonnet instead of hood and what have you, and all these kind of things. These just little changes in between, like what is essentially the same language, but there's a completely different dialect, and there's a different there's a different phrase, and there's different and words just mean different things in different places. It's just the way language develops.
What I always find fascinating is when people, including myself, try to write British or different, or from the different isles, something that feels from that area. So far, no one has called me on my usage of language. So that's a good thing. I'm knocking on wood that I don't start sucking now. But I've seen it's. We were talking about this in the green room, when people write people of color, but also when people write people from other countries. They go for the really low hanging, not even low hanging, for the fruit that's already on the ground and it's rotting. And it's like, this is what I should put. I think the first example that comes to my mind is the movie adaptation for V for Vendetta, when they do the eggs in the basket. I forget the scene, but I remember so many people that I know from the UK kicking off on that, and they go like, "No one says that," and I'm like, "Oh shit."
Yeah. There is a few things, and Anita just said it as well. Should the opposite problem right in a British setting? There's a lot of things that I think, particularly Hollywood, I think this is what British people say. They definitely say this, and we may have said it 50 years ago or something like that. Hunt for Red October, but
I enjoy Hunt for Red October. It's a good popcorn movie.
I like how I just love the accents in that one. Apart from obviously Sean Connery's refusal to do any other accent other than his own, which is there we go.
No, but Sean Connery in the epitome of his not giving one damn is in Highlander. He's playing a Spaniard. Listen to me, pendejo. It's like, no, dude.
He's an Egyptian Spaniard. Which is even called Ramirez, and then you've got Christopher Lambert, who is French, who couldn't even speak English properly at that point, playing a Scottish person. It's just what a heady mix. But it's a funny one, because I remember Beta reading something, a horror short story written by an American author that was set in Ireland. And they asked me specifically to read it, because I live in Ireland and what have you. And it didn't feel like Ireland, which is one of the problems when I was reading it. I was like, it's pre-Spanish. It didn't feel very Irish. I will do my Connery impression in a little while for you, Nikki. Yeah, I will. So it just had this feeling when I was just like, I couldn't place my finger on it, and it was written like from the point of view of an American tourist, which even still, well, it didn't feel like it was like it could have just been set anywhere with a forest, basically. And then the character meets up with like this Irish person who keeps referring to him as laddie all the time, and I was like, look, Irish people don't say laddie, that's Scottish. And the guy argued with me and was like, look. He's like, I've heard Irish people say it, and I was like, I'm very sorry, but like, I've never ever heard a real Irish person call someone laddie. It just doesn't happen. Right?
And no, that is a Scottish thing.
It's a Scottish thing, and he just completely just disagreed with me and just left it in, and I was like, fine. That's fine.
But it's funny when someone's getting feedback like that. It's like, dude, maybe that's off because this. And they kick off like that. It's like, okay, first off, you don't know everything. It's not a bad. It's not a bad thing. It's called being human. Second, if this is your reaction to someone who's trying to help you,
I know, yeah. That would be one of my things. If I was a contestant in the green room, and this is if people are watching next time they're coming on, one of the ones that I would say would be authors that can't take constructive criticism and feedback. That would definitely be one of my ones
No,
to go into doing.
and I totally understand. I totally understand getting feedback and you wanting to kick off. It's an instinct thing. You're defensive of your work, obviously,
Sure.
but
Yeah.
you have to rein that in and wrestle it. And it's like, dude, they're trying to help.
Exactly.
And again, I've been blessed with very, very kind beta readers, kind in the sense that, and they've been honest, and some have told me this I do not understand one lick, and I'm like, crap. And when three people say that, you go like, okay, I have to fix this. When three people say I don't like this because of that, and you go like, yeah, but that's what I'm going for. That's when you go like, thank you, but what you don't like is what I'm going for. So have to stick to my guns.
Exactly. I mean, a lot of things when you get like you beta read feedback or edits and stuff like that. The best thing to do, I always find, is to look at them, then close the file for a little while and go and do something else and let it marinate. Then come back and then you're like, yeah, okay, yeah, I get this now. I get it. I think there's a lot of people that instantly reply to things, and it's like, maybe don't instantly reply to this.
Since I've also worked in an office setting for 20 years, you learn to pause before clicking send.
Right.
Fortunately, I've never gotten in trouble for an email I've sent. I've gotten in trouble for saying something to someone. The thing is that how many buttons are you gonna press before you get a reaction? It's like, dude, I'm an elevator and someone just went, and I'm like, oh.
Well, it happens to the best of us. So, people watching, and I will do, Nikki, I will do the Sean Connery impression at some point, but not right now. I'm not a performing monkey. I will do it in my own time. So, any more questions for JD, please put them in there. So, one of the things that I wanted to ask you was, I'm not already doing it now. That'd be a very bad Sean Connery impression, wouldn't it? One of the things I wanted to ask you is, obviously your bibliography is really varied, and you do tackle a different amount of genres. How do you find that as when you are trying to, and this is like the bane of all independent and self-published writers, when you're trying to market yourself, how do you find that works or doesn't work for you, that you've got such a wide breadth?
No, it doesn't work. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it and say like, well, a lot of what I do is self-serving, and you just gotta see me at an event to know what I have marketed well, done the right cover, and just stuck the landing, and what is just gonna be niche. And not a lot of people have bought this, but it was important for me to do this, to prove to myself that I can translate my own work, and to see how much work is going to go into it when I finally do it. There are other books that at the Puerto Rico Comic Con, this was pretty easy to sell. This is Spanish horror short stories with a lot of Puerto Rican flavor. I sold 47 copies of this one with I said like half a sentence and they were already giving me the money, and I'm like, okay. And each genre that I tackle for different reasons. The horror short story collection came about because some writer friends of mine invited me to participate in an anthology a couple of years back. I wrote 3 short stories, sent them the one that I thought was either the best or the one with the most uncomfortable ending. I think that's the way that I was like, that is a horrendous ending that will make you want to throw up a bit. And I was like, I already have 3 short stories, so I should do this. And it was just how I always phrase it is that I'm exploring different soul wells. There are different, if you see what I listen to at any given day, so there's going to be rock, there's going to be from across the world. It's Germany, Ukraine, Japan, Spain, United States, UK, Canada, Australia, anywhere that has rock, I wanna listen to it, and I wanna absorb it. But I also love salsa, and I like reggae, and I like metal, and I can listen to Enya, and I can, that's who and how I am. With the video games that I'm playing, I try variety as well. With the foods that I try, if you see my taste tests, I'll try anything once, even if it's just a guinea pig experiment. When it comes to movies, I also like variety, and I wanted my bibliography to reflect that, to not to a certain degree, to a complete degree. Nonfiction I write to try to have a positive impact. My blog I write just to try to make sense of the world, and I've compiled. That's another project that I was like, oh, I'm just gonna copy paste and I'm gonna have a book. Yeah, I compiled the essays, and I go like, yeah, then I have to organize this, yeah, and then I have to rewrite, because this reads like a blog and it has to read like an essay. And basically, a 350-page book, I had to rewrite it
Right.
just to make it work in book form. But nonfiction, to try to have a positive impact. Poetry, it's me. It depends on the collection. There's several collections, and the Rhymes from the Wicked Nursery, it's just me having fun. It's just me, that little mischievous little rascal inside me that laughs at stuff that we shouldn't laugh. I wanted to make a poetry collection like that, about that, and feeding off that, so that people can go like, oh, poetry can be fun. And poetry can be fun, it can be healing, it can be cathartic, it can be all sorts of things, and I really love that. When it comes to fantasy, urban fantasy, the human cycle, I've taken a long time with that project, and it's finally done. I'm getting the edits into the third book. That's my first book was Only Human, and I started writing it because I saw an advert for Underworld. I was listening to Bach, I was chatting, I was multitasking, like, hey, like it's no one's business. And then I was like, I can write something like that. That's when the idea for Only Human came about. Seeing an advert and being enough of a dick to say I can write something like that. and then eventually it got a life of its own, and the characters got a life of their own. And in the first book, you can kind of tell. I know where it happens, but the reader can kind of tell when I stop trying to impress you with how I'm writing, and when the story just goes like, oh, we're on an adventure.
Yeah.
And it just sprouts wings and flies, and having that experience, it was very liberating, in a lot of senses, because I don't think I think everyone's like chiseling the marble until they find their voice, and I kind of stumbled upon it. And when I write middle grade, I want to write something that'll make you smile and that'll make you have happy thoughts. So I go from the ultra violence to no violence, and then a positive impact, and then stuff that, if you know who and how I am, and if we've had any sort of conversation, you're going to go like, yeah, that makes sense with how this guy is as a person.
And so it's all based on your creative outlet. It's like what you want, and you talked about this a little bit with one of the topics in the green room about, like, about readers wanting to tell writers what they should write, and so on. You're just wanting to write for yourself, and if people are along for the ride, then that's great.
Yeah, I want readers to come away with a positive and enjoyable experience, but at the end of the day, I gotta be really happy with what I put out. I don't write to market. I don't write what it's supposed to be. I try to surprise myself, and I've reread my books, and rereading my books, I go like, I forgot about this, and it's very surreal, because you spend hundreds of hours on these projects. You've read it and you've reread it and you edit it, and part of you kind of forgets. And then when you come across it as a reader, to surprise your own self, if I can still do that with anything that I write, that's a huge win for me. And at the end of the day, fortunately, anything that I've had to read live, when I'm reading it, I remember how good it felt when I got it to the point where I was like, it's ready.
Right.
And again, with poems, some are very personal, some are very deep, and some are just cheeky little limericks of whatever's on my mind.
Yeah.
And I think all of what I do is in a way saying it's okay to be different and varied and not just one thing. A lot of
Yeah.
people are like one trick ponies, or I've been asked, would you ever double down on a genre? And I've given this a lot of thought, and I think that when I become a hybrid author, because I think that's the goal, I might specialize in a genre for what I want to publish traditionally,
Mm.
and then flex all the other muscles elsewhere. And if everything takes off, I'm going to be a happy guy.
Yeah, exactly. So it seems like for you, with kind of getting your like your work out there, that the main kind of outlet for you is events and like cons and stuff like that, because you're able to talk one on one with readers and you're able to kind of say,
Well,
does that get your message across a little bit more to people, to have that direct kind of face to face?
the thing is that I've gone to the Puerto Rico Comic Con since 2014, and I
Mhm.
do really well in that event. And I've had one event stateside. Try to imagine how successful it was monetarily for me to have only one event and go like, when am I going to do another, and how am I going to do it?
Right,
I went from one event selling 118 books in Puerto Rico to selling 18 books in 3 days, and that
right.
it was a the reality check bounced off my face.
Hmm.
Um,
What was it?
but
Is it ultra competitive, or is it just a different kind of setting? Or
it was several factors. In a certain sense, I had a really good table because I was in the middle of the exhibitor hall. But the way that that event was developed, you had to pay. You couldn't buy tickets up front, so
right.
you had to pay for your entrance at the gate.
Hmm.
Plus, you had to buy your autograph stuff at the gate as well. So if you
Right.
had a budget, that your budget already took a tank like big time.
Yeah. Yeah.
That,
Yeah.
that's one factor. Second factor, people that go to that event aren't as savvy as people who go to other events.
Hmm.
People who go to Dragon Con, they're gonna case the joint and they're gonna go like, I want this, and that. They know what they're doing. People who went
Hmm.
to the Atlanta Comic Con are kind of new to going to conventions, and it's like their first big event.
Right.
So they'll see a Funko Pop that's $20 and they go like, "I'll give it to me," and it's like you could have bought that at $8 around the corner.
Right.
So there's also that factor, and there's also the factor that I am an indie guy from Puerto Rico. That was my first event stateside. I
Hmm.
am not well known stateside. It's not like I'm a name. People know me, and in certain circles, like go indie circles and hear circles, people have met me. They enjoy my company. Some people have read my books. They've enjoyed them so much that they've actually left a review. But it's not like I'm a name or I'm a draw or anything. You
Yeah.
can see you can see the numbers that I have on social media. I've been at this for like a decade and I have decent numbers and I have clicks here and likes there, but it's not something that it's not terminal velocity. It's not catalytic. It's not anything like that. I'm just a guy. And when you're a guy and there are 60 or 65 other guys who also have books and who are local, like
Hmm.
local as in I grew up in Atlanta and I blah 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 blah
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
versus a guy who came in here and he's
Mhm.
invading our turf. No one had that attitude, by the way. Everyone was super friendly, but consumers were like, I might check this other thing out. Add to that I'm also a multi-genre author, and the knee-jerk reaction is that, oh, he's a jack of all trades and a master of none.
Yeah. 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 Because that's the thing as well. Like a lot of particularly when you get into kind of, I don't think it. it affects or horror readers have this viewpoint, but specifically sci-fi, fantasy readers, they generally like to have a series that they can sink themselves into, isn't it? And it's like, and especially like, I've been there as a debut fantasy author where it's like, here's my first book in a series, and it's like, and you get a lot of people say, I'll check this out once I see that there's other books in this series at some point.
No, I really put in a lot of effort into Shadow of a Human, the sequel to Only Human. A lot of effort, and I'm very proud of how I progress as an author and a writer from one to the other, and how I progressed the story and the twist that I already offer you on book 2. That book has 9 reviews, and and the sales are not there, and it's super frustrating. And people go like, "Oh, when you finish the series, I'll buy it," and it's like.
Yeah.
And I know it's going to happen, and I know it's going to be part of it, but that's not how it works. If you like something enough, you have to give the incentive. But no, I've gotten a lot of people that go like, okay, when do you think that you're going to finish the series? And it's like, then why write a series? After I'm done with the human cycle, I'm probably going to do one-offs for a while, just because it is heartbreaking. People have no idea. It is heartbreaking to such a degree to have something that you go like, I did better across the board, and it just doesn't take off. And it is the nature of the beast. It is the nature of the middle child also. And people and then people having the reaction, oh, you're gonna do a trilogy, everyone does that. And I'm like, originally it was gonna be something else, but it just fits better with a trilogy. And it's oh, and it's like, you try it.
Yeah. No, it's a tricky one. I mean, you want that. There's so more jinx. Yeah, I mean, you want that momentum as well. Like, that feeds into, especially when you work on a series, you want that kind of like, you want it to do well when the book comes out, and you want that kind of little, like, people like it, and then they're asking for the next one. It gives you that kind of like that little bit of a buzz where it's like, okay, I'm going to work on this next one, and then you want that to kind of keep going. But if it comes out and it doesn't, the second one comes out, or the third one comes out, and it kind of tails off a little bit whilst you're writing one of them, you're kind of like, I suppose I'll have to finish this because I promise. Well, no one can write The Empire Strikes Back. Not even Irving Kershner could write it because he directed it. And he tried to change, but there's a lot of improvisation in that movie, which is always good. So, with in terms of one of the things that you talked about in the green room was a cold call email. So I was just wondering how many that you've look. We get into this just briefly. Lord of the Rings was written as 6 books, not as 3, but not even as 1. It was a 6 book, so there was no 2 towers at the time. So anyway, how many cold call emails have you had in the last week since the green room?
Only 2. Which it isn't bad for a week, but I haven't gotten cold call emails, but I have gotten. Why do Bitcoiners still insist? I want to know. I've gotten at least 3 Bitcoiners, and as soon as I saw the AI trend, I knew that I was going to get emails from brand new cover artists.
Yeah.
And those are steady. And what can I say? The people that I work with, again, on these 2 covers, I can share. I'll do a video on my channel, and I'll share the creative brief that I did for each of those covers. And I do plan on interviewing both artists, just because the dynamic was completely different for each one. For one, I knew exactly what I wanted. I'm like, I need this, I need this, I need this, I need that. And with the other one, I was like, I need help. And I found people that were able to deliver on my needs on both occasions. Carelis Luna for this one. She's a Puerto Rican author. She's a sweetheart. She was actually a neighbor on one occasion. and Melissa Lettuce for the Daydreams on the Sherbet Shore. I'm so proud with how this book turned out and how this cover turned out. Again, because I was lost. Um, it's just part of how it is. And then getting cold call emails of like, I'm a new artist and I can smash this. And I'm like,
Hmm.
okay.
Yeah, like I can rate you a very cheap cover within an hour. It's like I wonder how you would do that.
There are ways to do it.
Hmm. There are
But
lots of ways to do it these days. They're all mostly AI.
they are now you're going to see a big tendency of that, but I've seen people that are really good at erasing watermarks.
Oh yeah.
Really good at erasing watermarks, and I've
Hmm.
seen stuff that I go like, that picture's familiar.
Yeah. Yeah.
um if they want to go that route, it can land them a nice $10,000 fine. I'm not interested in that. I'm interested in working with people that know what they're doing and that are going to work with me through the process.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm just going to go back to Joe's comment about Two Towers being the second book. Is triggering me with so okay. This just shows you even people like J.R. Tolkien have to bend to their publisher's whims. So he wrote The Lord of the Rings as 6 books, and there are 6 books in the collection. And which is why there's that quite strange pacing issue where it's like characters are missing for certain parts of it and what have you. But then this publisher was like, we can't release this as 6 books. That's just silly. So he said, okay, we'll release it as one. And they said no because it's too big. It's like the porridge with the Free Bears. So they decided on a trilogy, and then these publishers came up with the titles. He didn't mind Fellowship of the Ring. He didn't know what Two Towers were being, which ones he meant when they called it Two Towers, because he's like, there's several towers. And he didn't like The Return of the King because he was like, well, it spoils the book. But
And beyond, it's the one that just it has it's a bit bland.
yeah, it's a
and
bit bland.
and
Yeah.
and it's a good book. And the thing is that in terms of the movies, the 2 books that compile Return of the King and the movie, those are, I think, the closest ones that I go like, oh, because
Yeah.
when I read Fellowship, I
Yeah.
really loved the book more than the movie. Two Towers, the things that they had to cut some stuff from the movies,
Mhm.
but they're both really good. And then the third one, I was like, wow, the book is not it. The movie is not bad in comparison to the book, and you always have that thought that it's going to be inferior.
Yeah, yeah. There's a lot of yeah, because the way it's structured, there's quite a lot of like kind of timeline issues when you go to straight. That's it. But anyway, this is Joe's fault. He keeps bringing it up all the time. So um, Nikki's version of a cover is interesting, and this seems like something that Anita would also like. Is just white paper with blood on it. That's something Anita says it's going to take months to be happy with a cover that she creates, but there you go. There's an idea for you. Just go with the blood on a cover. So what are you working on at the moment? That's what I'm always interested in when I talk to other writers. I'm sure you have lots and lots. It depends on whose blood. Yeah. Um, Everyone always has lots of ideas, and sometimes it gets to. I suppose with someone like yourself who works on quite a lot of standalone stuff and quite a lot of different genres, it must be. How do you decide what is going to be the next thing that you work on?
I'm always working on multiple things, and then when something grabs my attention and doesn't let go, you go like, okay, this is a wave, or this is something that I have to ride until completion.
Mm.
I burned. I didn't burn the candle at both ends earlier this year. I chucked it in the bonfire, and I was a bit burned out. And now I'm feeling prepared to retake the projects. First off, is to do the all Spanish version of 2020, which is going to be 2020. Again, I already have the base translations, but it's a 3 or 4 step process where do the translation, verify, delete the original text, and it's going to take a life of its own. And then before the year is over, I really want to finish Beyond Human. Um, it's been a very emotional ride to write that book. When people read it, they're going to understand why it took so long and why it was so hard. But they're gonna come across quite a few surprises, and I highly recommend reading books 1, 2, and 3 in one go, just because there are so many little details that, or just read them more than once.
Right, yes, we go. Yeah, reread them. Reread's always it's always rewarding.
Yeah. So I have that, and I also have speculative short story fiction that I've been working on. I wrote something earlier this year that I'm really proud of. It's a retelling of a Greek myth in modern day setting, and I was like, damn, that was good. I need to do more of that. But this is like a boxer. Before thinking 4 fights ahead, I gotta tackle the first one, then the second one, and then I can play.
Right. Yeah. And you have numerous ideas all the time. Is that the way it is?
I have ongoing. I have, if I'm not mistaken, I think it's 24 projects at different levels. That means that
Mm,
for the poetry collections, I just write, and then eventually I see a pattern, and when I see like 6 or 7 poems in the same realm, I go like, hey, I can do something with that. So I have that. I have English horror stories. I already wrote another Spanish horror story, so I guess I'm gonna do the second collection of Spanish horror stories. And I do have 3 projects that I want to write to query. 2 are going to be in English, and 1 is going to be in Spanish. The Spanish one is going to take place in Old San Juan. It's going to be an urban fantasy. It's going to be out there, and it's going to have a little bit of the elements that appear in one of my short stories in Penumbra in that collection. The English ones, one is comedy, and it is me just exploring and trying to explain to people the adventures that happen in advertising.
right.
Um, because if you work in any industry, you're going to see quirks. But working in advertising, you see some stuff that you go like, this is particular.
Mhm.
This is not normal.
Right.
And I've also been very fortunate to come across a lot of weird people, including myself. I know I'm a quirky character, but I've met some people that you go like, you exist. You just
Mm,
said that. You just did that. This just happened.
right.
I just witnessed this. So
Yeah.
so that's one, and the other one is going to be an urban fantasy, gritty urban fantasy set here in Atlanta.
Oh,
Just
yeah.
because, why not?
Full of sweaty people.
There's not going to be sweaty people, but it's gonna be. I'm already drafting ideas for characters, and it's the first one that from the get go. I'm like, I really want a diverse cast of random characters that flex different muscles. My research for that is gonna be Chinese, Indian, Greek, and Nordic mythologies, and Japanese mythologies, just because I want different races and different types of beings to have different quirks.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, if you feed the tank, something's gonna come out.
Something's going to come out. Speaking of which, there is a theory that's going around in Joe knew exactly what I was going to talk about in the Going to Now circles that Nikki DeCeuster and Nikki Nelson Hicks have never been seen in the same place together. It's going to be very intriguing if this happens. But now in the green room, they still aren't in the same place together. They keep disappearing and reappearing. Um, Very intriguing. We will see very shortly. It will be shocking, positively shocking, if they are both there at the exact same time. Um, so, JD, before we wrap up, thank you very much for coming on, and well done for winning the green room, of course.
Thank you.
Where can everyone find you online?
You can find me on Twitter. I'm trying to be a bit more active just to offer something that counters all the psycho crazy stuff that's happening there lately. So
Yeah,
I'm on Twitter, I'm on Instagram, I'm on YouTube, I'm on Facebook. I think the platform that I have the most fun with is Instagram. You can tell me. JD Estrada writer across the board. If I'm on a platform, you're going to use that to find me, and you will find me. People have asked me, am I on TikTok? And that is a yes with an asterisk. I have the account. I have followers. I have not posted any content. Will I post content? I do not know. Look for me elsewhere. And
You
for my
might, you
books,
might.
and for my books, I'm on Amazon. I do have plans to go wide later this year. If you're gonna buy my books physically, please check out the indie bookstores in Puerto Rico that have my books. Thanks to Letras Distribución, I'm able to have my books in about 7 bookstores. I haven't had that ever happen. I hope that people read.
Yeah. And are you appearing at any more cons or anything like that for the rest of the year, or when's your next thing that you're doing?
The only thing that I have concrete is next year I'm going back to the Puerto Rico Comic Con. I already have my booth. This is my official announcement that I will be returning to the Puerto Rico Comic Con. Will I go to another event? There have been some that I've been considering. I will be going as a civilian to Multiverse just to see some beautiful, lovely people, but I will not be having a booth there. Will that change? I think if I find someone to share a booth with, I might change opinions, but it's not high on my priority right now.
Yeah, some of them you gotta just test the waters out, because there's a lot of conventions that are very kind of like reader orientated, where people go looking to buy stuff, and you get some that are just mainly for writers, and it's there just to network and catch up and do other things, and no one's really wanting to buy books when they're there. They just want to kind of unwind and what have you. So it's good to kind of test the waters out with these kind of things.
Exactly.
Yeah. So we are going to be wrapping up very, very shortly, and we will be going back with part 2, which will be when Nikki's combine. Possibly, we don't know if they will both share the same space, but we will find out. And before we do, there is going to be a quick interlude break with it, which is the Nevermore Kickstarter. So, on behalf of me and from JD, thank you so much, everyone, for joining in. Thank you for all your comments, and it's always time to go indie now.
Yes.
Falstaff Books is excited to present Nevermore, an anthology of short stories based on the masterpieces of the one and only Edgar Allan Poe. Are you ready for a spine-tingling descent into the depths of darkness? Nevermore includes 18 original stories written by talented contemporary authors who have been inspired by Poe's eerie Gothic style. From the interstellar terror of James Tuck's The Valley of Unrest, and the mechanical shivers of Day al-Muhammad's The Clock Struck 13, to the dark revenge of Misty Massey's The Cask of Amarillo, the monstrous mystery of Kat Richardson's The Purloining Peacock, and so much more. Each story captures the essence of Poe's work, while offering a unique twist on his themes of horror, suspense, and the macabre. Let our amazing authors take you on a twisted journey, exploring Poe's haunting themes in unique ways. Experience the thrill of Poe's tales like never before. Choose your pledge level today and let the thrills begin.
Have you heard the one about the small-town girl who got knocked up by the ex-wife of an ex-con that she had never met? No? You should. It's a pretty good one. After all, isn't that what love is?
Sometimes it burns. Sometimes it hurts.
Because Sarah Shatan impulsively decided to be a surrogate to pay for college. But a mistake at the clinic finds her pregnant with Matthew Goodrow's child, despite the fact they've never met. Matt never wanted to be a parent, and while he felt responsible, he doesn't really want anything to do with Cass, since she decided to keep the baby. Matt's brother and adopted uncle, however, are happy to welcome Cass into their home. Funny, in the face of serious topics and slow burn, despite forced proximity, this dysfunctional yet heartwarming found family is the perfect backdrop for the grumpy sunshine rom-com. This is just one of the 2 stories of the Goodrow brothers. In the Goodrow brothers duet, Love Is and Love Stories Are, they follow Matthew and Vincent Goodrow and how their lives are upended by drama and maybe love. You know the term, write what you know. Generally, it implies you're writing about your life, not plagiarizing someone else's tale. Because if you do, better hope they don't find out. Vincent Goodrow felt destined to be a supporting character and remain in the shadows. But on a whim, he wrote down his brother's love story and submitted it to Anna Kane's publishing company. Anna wasn't one to hesitate. She went after what she wanted. But Vinny seemed to be hesitant to be in the spotlight, even in his own life. Pulling in the laughs while balancing difficult topics and consent themes, this twist on the billionaire trope highlights how communication and love are part of the building a life and not a magic wand. Author Catherine M. Sweet brings her unique voice to this slow burn romance duet, twisting popular tropes in books best described as R-rated homework. So what are you waiting for? Love is waiting, and love stories are always available. When you take a look at the Goodrow Brothers duet, available now on Kindle Unlimited.
Do you really wanna be in love?
I want to say that we planned this and that the Nickies just could not be seen together. We just couldn't break the myth.
But we could not have those 2 universes in the same little sphere.
But the gods have actually spoken, I think, and they kicked Nikki out. She was having microphone issues, and so so hopefully she jumps back in here and gets in here. But I'm always happy to talk to my friend Miss Nikki Nelson Hicks because she's awesome, and I'm happy to do it. I've watched the Green Man.
His hair.
We can
I'm
do.
just my hair is just sorry. It's Tennessee. It's somewhere in Tennessee. Not good. Anyway, go ahead. So interview. What are we talking about?
In summation.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, we'll go. I'll go for the half hour if Nikki can't make it in, but if she gets in here in the next few minutes, I'll drop her in here, and then we'll really do like this grand reveal of the Nickies. But
Boom, boom, boom. Yeah, no problem.
How are you doing, my friend? How's things going?
It's going fine. Spent most of the day just kind of working on this latest story and just kind of hanging out and just chilling. So it was nice. It was a really nice day. I'm sorry, not much. Not much going on in my life really. I just sit and work on these stupid stories and hope that something happens. So a writer's life is actually quite boring. I'm sorry. We just sit here most of the time and make up shit. This is all we do, and it all happens up here. So sorry.
Yeah, JD says that I want them to take a picture together and exit the background so it looks
So
fake.
it looks fake.
And he says your big hair still looks fab.
Thank you. It's so biggie. I know.
Did you have Juneteenth off? Is that did you not work today?
Yes, I work for the state, and we had Juneteenth off, which is the first year. I didn't even know we had it off until my daughter, who also works for the state, said, "Hey, Mom, we're not." I said, "What? Awesome, great," because it gave me time to recuperate from the weekend. Because the weekend was a weekend of yard work. I'm sorry, it's adulting. Sorry, so much adulting, and it's one of those adult things where you're just like, I am so goddamn tired, and all I've done is just do not any fun things. So I told myself, since I didn't have any fun things for the weekend, I was going to spend this day. Today was going to be a word day. I'm just going to write and play and do things in here. So that's what I did. And then Brian brought home pizza. We had pizza, and that's I didn't have to cook. So yeah, and pretty soon my kids are moving out. And
Yeah, I saw that. You're
I
about to be an
know
empty
I'm going to be an
nester.
empty nester. So, okay, this office, my husband and I kind of share. But when they leave, he is going to take over one of their bedrooms, and I'm going to like spread out. So he's already in there measuring the walls. So yeah.
JD's just pampering us with questions so that I don't have to come up with some on the fly. But
Oh, give me questions because I'll just start rambling about absolute nonsense. You got it. You got to give me a. Yeah.
No worries. How was your experience in the green room? Did you enjoy it?
Yeah, it's great fun. I mean, I had like about 10 different topics I was going to play with, and then I just picked 3 out of the 10. So a part of me after it was over was like, damn it, I really should have done that one. Oh man, he pulled the people of color card. I should have done that one. So yeah, anyway, but no, it was fine. I knew I was in for a fight. I knew
Yeah,
it. I knew going against him. I knew this is going to be heavy hitting stuff.
yeah, for
So,
sure.
well,
We all knew it, I think, and you guys didn't disappoint for sure. I thought it was
it
a
was
really,
fun. It was really fun. We kept the energy going because there's nothing worse than getting and the energy just kind of like.
yeah,
And writers are hard.
yeah,
Writers are hard to interview because we like again we're all up here, and sometimes a writer doesn't understand how to be here, or like me, will be too much here, and it'll just be vomit everywhere. It's just word vomit.
yeah,
So I actually had a script, the whole thing that I was trying to work on, and finally I just gave up the script for the topics, the rants during the green room, and I just went ahead and just ran with it. I was just going to run, so that's what I did. It went fine. I thought it was a lot of fun. Again, we worked with the energy, all
yeah,
3 of us. So yeah, it was fun. I don't know. Are you still having problems getting people
yeah,
doing the show? I think
yeah,
it's because they're afraid. And this is a lot of work. I mean, this isn't like you're going to come here and someone's going to ask you questions and you just vomit out stuff. You do have to be prepared to be funny and clever and yada yada. And again, write the script. Write the script, have it on another screen so you can refer to it. That's what I did.
yeah. I think when we initially brought this out, everybody was a little apprehensive about what it was, and then I was hoping that after a few episodes, people would get it. But yeah, I also think it's just the time of the year. I mean, people are doing, their kids are out of school, things are,
Yeah.
people are doing a bunch of cons, and so
Summertime's
it's
hard. Yeah,
yeah.
because you've got cons and you've got again family and people traveling all over the place, this kind of
Yeah.
stuff.
It's usually
Um,
why we take a break at this time, but we have so much going on that we wanted to make sure we got it out of there before the fall season starts again. So
yeah.
JD has a couple questions here, and then Nikki's trying to get in here, so we'll bring her back in
Okay.
when she's back at her seat. I see her chair is empty. But oh, there she goes. Let's
Hello?
Boom! See?
Okay,
2
so
they
nicks,
do exist together.
but you can't hear.
Uh-oh.
Oh man. And I can't hear her either.
We
Her
can't
mic,
hear you either.
the whole headset is dead. Well, also she's on. Maybe she's on. Can you unmute her?
Yeah. No, she is muted, but
Yeah.
that's not. You
That's
can't
not
unmute
you.
the mic guest. Mic isn't connected. It says.
Oh no. Technical error. Nope.
Mm.
Oh, I heard something.
I did too.
Yes. 1 minute. Do it again.
hello.
Oh,
There
yes.
you are.
I've been running around for like 20 minutes to get this damn thing to work. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
It's all good.
I even got like my backup computer in case. This thing is so slow, but
Yeah.
it's working.
There we are.
We
Here
broke
it
the
is,
fourth
everybody.
fifth
The moment
dimension.
you've all been waiting for.
So are
I'm
we
gonna
live now?
drop out.
We're live.
What's that?
We are live.
Oh, so
Yeah.
everybody saw my chaos. Well,
Yeah. They're used. Don't worry about. They're used to it.
par for the course.
Yes, absolutely.
Hello,
Well,
thank
I'm
you
gonna
for
drop
waiting
out and
for
let you
my.
ladies have at it. So
Oh, okay.
enjoy.
Bye.
Okay, thanks, Joe. We did. We broke something in time and space, Nikki, which was our goal. So I'm very mindful of that.
Can't have 2 nicks in one place. I know. Mm-mm.
cracking right down. Where is it? The center here.
Right there in the center. Yep.
So how are you?
I'm fine. I am doing well. Here in Tennessee, so it's kind of hot, and it's been like raining and get really nice, and then pit
Then
of
the
hell.
humidity hits.
Then the humidity hits, and it's just in my sinuses, headache. Just but it's just summer in Tennessee. The solstice is coming up in a couple of days, so
That's right.
it's
Well,
right
I
in
don't know what
past.
you guys talked about in the little bit that I wasn't in here,
We
right?
just blah 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 blah.
Just- okay,
Yeah, we
so-
were just blah 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 talking about this blah blah blah. Nothing interesting.
Well, did you go over who you are and what you
No.
write and all that? So why don't we start with that?
Okay, I'll do that. Hi, I'm Nikki Nelson Hicks, and I write a whole bunch of things. Pretty much, I write stuff from, say, horror, just straight out horror, all the way over to, say, some steampunk, some fantasy, some Sherlock Holmes, some just good old-fashioned monsters in the desert. Pretty much, you give me a contract, and I'll give you a story. So, yeah, it's I write anything and all kinds of things. I like to dip my wick in a lot of different inkwells.
Yeah, I saw you even do some steampunk.
Yes, I have a couple of steampunk stuff, and it isn't like I went to try. I got a contract. I had a friend who needed a story for an anthology, and he's like, "Look, I need one more story. One more story. Can you write me a story?" And I'm like, "Oh, what's the thing?" He said, "Superheroes in a steampunk world." I was like, "Okay." He called me on a Sunday. When do you need this? By Friday. I'm like,
How many
"Oh,
words?
like, what was it, like 6,000 words? It wasn't very long."
Okay.
But I didn't know anything about the genre. So I had to like jump into the genre, read a few things, get basically a feel and go, okay, this is what I'm going to do. And I wrote, what was it? Oh, it was called Ectoplasm Eradicators Wanted. I think that's what it was called. I don't remember. Because then when it got published, and then once the rights came back to me, I kind of rewrote it and kind of played with it and turned it into, Revenge of the Blood Red Maid. And a Salt and Pepper Caper, because I really like the two characters, Salt and Pepper, these two characters I created. And it's a great fun story. Basically, it's been compared to Ghostbusters and Ocean's 11 in a Victorian steampunk world, because there's ghosts, but there's also all this like crime and people doing all kind of cons and stuff, and people getting it's great fun, especially since I did it in about less than 10,000 words. A lot happens in just 10,000 words, but it was so much fun to write.
That
And
is quite a challenge. Not even
it
know
was-
the genre and have to within a week.
I just faked it, man. I just faked it.
Well, and you
yeah.
can make up anything in steampunk, really.
Pretty
your
much.
world, so.
I kind of thrive on that, of give me a really hard challenge and let me play with it. See, there you go.
Oh, yep,
Ghostbusters.
you are in good company with
See?
Anita here.
Yep. It's great fun. And it makes so much sense, quite frankly. And at that time when I wrote that, that's back during my ghost hunting days. So I had a lot of ghost shit in my head at the time. So,
Yeah, I would like to know about that, actually. It was on my list of things to ask you about.
Oh, my ghost hunting bits? Oh, yeah.
So we could just
do you
lead
wanna
right
know?
into that.
What do you want to know?
Well, I mean, that's a really unique experience, isn't it? Like,
Mhm.
and actually, I know a little bit about it because in my novel, The Spiral, one of the main characters is a ghost hunter.
Mhm.
So I had to kind of steep myself in that world a little bit and know the lingo and all of that
Yep.
stuff.
It's a
What
lot
kind
of
of equipment did you have?
I had
You
well,
know,
I stayed with just EMF meters. Yeah, I had an EMF meter and basically digital um, cameras, of course, and a digital recorder, and of course my camera and my video camera. I didn't get into spirit boxes or anything like that, 'cause I think that's BS. I think it's crap.
Mhm.
But hey, people dig it. That's their business. In the group that I was in, we had the group I was in. Our our focus was figure out what this is. What is this? We didn't go in looking for ghosts or spiritual crap. Um, we had an electrician in our group, because there would be times we would find like, look, all this EMF, blah 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 blah. Look, it's going like crazy. And David would like tap on the wall and go, "There's a fuse box here. That's why you're doing all this." He was
Oh,
excellent.
that sounds fun.
Well, I don't want to be the Scully, but I always ended up becoming the Scully. Not just in that group, but I got into a couple of other groups because, again, just for fodder, because some of these other groups were much more into the uh, metaphysical bits. And like, there was, okay, so we got called in to do this investigation on this house because this woman claimed that she was really scared, that there were demons coming out of her toilet and they were coming at her, and she was really, really scared, and she could
That
hear
was just Taco
voices.
Bell.
I know. It gets even better. She had her mother come up
Oh,
from New Orleans to stay with her. Her 12-year-old son was terrified. So I come into this house and I'm instantly not liking this woman. She's had a really histrionic personality, but her energy was just like this, and she was just digging all of the attention she was getting.
okay.
Every wall of her house was done in a glossy paint. Check one. Secondly, every wall in her house had crucifixes or saints or popes. And I thought, oh my God, she's hyper religious.
Wait. Why is glossy paint a red flag? We all like. I gotta
Take a
know.
no,
Is
you
this
take a
gonna save
picture.
me something
No,
in my
so you
life?
take when you take pictures. She had all these pictures of her, which called her woobies, and she claimed they were ghosts. They're her woobies. They were not woobies. They were it was fucking flash from your fucking shiny walls. Because she started well anyway, so I was like, where did you get this wooby picture? So I replicated all of her wooby pictures. Then she got mad at me because your energy is disrupting the ghosts and all this bullshit.
It's interesting.
Also, I was in her bathroom because I will do this if I investigate your home. I went into her bathroom, opened up her drug cabinet, and found three vials of Vicodin. This bitch is on Vicodin. This is why you're seeing demons coming out of your toilet. So she's hyper religious. She's digging all of this, people coming and taking care of her because she's a wounded little sparrow, and she wants it. She just wants it. So anyway, I got kicked out. I was told to leave because my energy
You
was
got
upsetting.
exercised.
I did because my energy was upsetting the spirits. I was like, fine, whatever, bitch, I'm whatever. I'm packing up my shit to go. And then it's like 2 a.m. in the morning. Her husband comes home. He's a long haul truck driver who did not know his wife had caught a bunch of strange ghost hunters into his home. And he was pissed. So I was like, I am gone, baby. Trust me, I'm out, man. Don't. And so everybody had to go running out because he was pissed.
Especially
So
if he's like uber Christian too, right?
I don't know I know he's just pissed that
He's
his
just
wife had all these strangers in his house setting up cameras and things, and I'm sure he didn't believe her bullshit, but yeah, that group was really, really weird. Like I said, they were really into the wooby end of paranormal investigations. She eventually tried to start a cult. She was trying to start a cult that worshipped Athena. She wanted me to join her cult because she told me I was actually an alien and she could help me rise to my alienhood because she's just that super psychic. I'm
oh
sure
my
you met that
goodness.
when you were doing your investigations. Oh, when you're doing your research into that world, you're going to have, especially the psychics, you're going to have the
Mhm.
super psychics. And every group that uses a psychic or uses a bunch of psychics will eventually become like this battle of the super psychics. Who is the most psychic? And we had
Really?
this.
That has not been my
Oh,
experience.
yes. Oh, my God.
I haven't been really real into the paranormal investigation world, but I am an astrologer and
Oh,
I've done the spirit fairs and stuff, and
oh yeah.
I've had the
I used
opposite
to
experience.
love going to those. But for
Yeah.
me, my experience with paranormal investigation groups was it became the battle of the super psychics. And they would become like, well, I can sense everything in this room.
Mm.
And there's me going, I ain't got shit. I don't feel anything. What's going on?
That's interesting that it kind of
I'm not.
gravit
It's ego.
people
It's just
gravitate
ego.
towards it, who
It's
are more
ego.
competitive.
I used to be back in the day, back in my new age day, and I was with a bunch of women, or we'd get together and we considered ourselves kind of the circle. We got together, women of a certain spiritual bent.
That's what it was called.
We called it the circle because we didn't want to call it anything. I didn't want to get into that whole coven idea. And as soon as we started going, let's make it into a coven, I'm out. I'm bouncing because that's just going to cause a hierarchy, and it causes let's have a book of shadows, and oh, I'm out, bitch, I'm out. If I want to do that, I'll become a Methodist. I don't need that kind of hierarchy in my life. So that's just been my experience amongst. Maybe I just fell into a bunch of narcissists. I don't know, but yeah, for me, ghost hunting was fascinating. I got some really cool stories out of it. Our biggest claim to fame was doing the Valeska X murder house in Iowa. This was back in 2005. We were invited to come and do a investigation, and we went all the way to Iowa. I got the name of it. All the way to Iowa to do this investigation. This house, it had no electricity, no running water, no bathrooms. With a lot of public urination done that night.
Oh
And
my goodness.
so I'll tell you that. Oh my God, that. So anyway,
Yes, Nikki has a Glenda the
no, I
Good
just
Witch
okay.
voice.
Blah blah blah. The Valeska X murder house, very interesting. We all had experiences, but no proof. I mean, like no EVPs, no nothing. But we all had experiences, but no proof. And
Well, the sixth sense is valid.
but it isn't when you want to do when you provide proof.
Yeah, it's not quantitative,
It's not quantitative, and that's not proof.
but we just don't have a way to quantify
Quantitative,
this stuff yet.
Yeah, but I can't say boom.
Yeah.
But anyway, the Glinda the Good Witch thing, again, back during my New Age days when I used to go to all those fairs and psychic fairs and stuff. Anyway, I used to love those things. I love them. And I had a lot of friends in the New Age group, in the New Age community. Anyway, I went to, there was this one woman, my friends were like, oh, you've got to go to her. She's great. She's wonderful. Oh, you'll love her. So okay, I don't know this woman. She's brand new. I've never seen her before. Sit down. And she starts to tape all of this, and she starts talking. She starts talking like
Oh my God.
this. And she started telling me how someone has moved your cheese. Until you find your cheese, you will not be able to find success. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? And she started telling me how, oh, you have unresolved problems with your father. And I was like, I gotta go. I'm done. I would just she pissed me off so bad. I went over
You
to
just hit the
oh my
table
God.
and be like, somebody's after my cheese. I gotta go.
That was our joke for the next year. Me and my ghost hunting buds was my cheese. And for Christmas that year, they got me a little mouse figurine holding a cheese. Someone's got my cheese. So that was so stupid. But I
love that.
haven't. Actually, the next thing I'm doing is at the Tennessee Haunts and Legends, which is going to be a ghost hunter expo thing. I'm going as a writer. I'm going as to push my horror stuff. But it'll be cool to see. I mean, I know that there are a lot of ghost hunting groups here in Tennessee. It'd be cool to talk to some of them, and again, I'm on the other side of it now. I'm more of a okay, don't touch the cheese, man. I sat in the dark waiting for the dead for a long time, and after a while, you just get bored. Like,
Yeah.
okay, it's like, all right, you do you.
That's the experience of my characters too. Even though it is paranormal.
Well, I have a ghost hunting character as well too that I like. I really want to write his story sometime. But for me, my experience as a ghost hunter, 98% of the time, we would figure out what's going on. Like one time, this woman contacted us in East Nashville, and I went to her house to see what's wrong with her. The deal was remember the group I told you about before with the one with the cult? Well, she had called that group in first, and that group told her she had a portal to hell in her basement, and that's where the ghosts were coming from. That she needed to pay them money to come and take care of the ghosts, of course. So she contacted our group to get like a second opinion. We come out, and she takes us downstairs to where the portal is. It's just an open sewer grate. She's got an open sewer down there. It's a 100-year-old house. You just got sewage. You need to call a plumber, not an exorcist. Come take care of this stuff. You'll be fine. There's no bad. There's no one going to hell. Okay, this is just open sewage. Call a plumber. Then we went up upstairs.
Now I will point out though that the common link between this and the other story is Taco Bell.
Oh, Taco, God. Well, for her story, it gets a little bit more because we get to talking, and she was really scared because she said her mother was a witch and her mother had died. And she was really scared about her mom coming back to haunt her and stuff. And blah blah.
Was her mom in the open sewer grate?
I don't know. But then she kind of started telling, and she started basically she was schizophrenic. Her son was schizophrenic, but they were on medication. I was like, oh, okay, writing that down. And then also the one room that they were having the most problems in was a very small room, but every wall had a computer. That's what we call in the biz a fear cage. That so much EMF is in this one room, you're calling it a fear cage. And if you're a person who's really, if you're really, really sensitive to energies, which I am,
Yeah.
it'll freak you out. So, anyway, we helped her out by one, telling her she didn't have a portal to hell. Two, take out one or two of these freaking computers, and three, keep on your meds. And yeah, don't worry about your mom. If you're, don't worry about ghosts. Ghosts are not going to hurt you. Trust me, they're not going to hurt you. They can't. They aren't going to hurt you. So it was interesting, but I don't know. For a while,
Hey, it added to your weird, right?
oh, I've been weird my entire life. When I lived in the Middle East, my hobby there was to go into souks and look for evidence of their pagan past because they were very pagan in the past. And if you go into the souks and you dig and like go into the silver souk and you just dig, you can find a really cool stuff. I don't have them here, but I found salts, which are basically medallions used against demons. I found some Zara rings, which are used in jinn exorcisms. I found some really cool stuff. And that's
Wow.
just by going there and just digging and looking for anything that dealt with their pagan past. So that was fun.
That is really interesting.
I'll use it for a story someday. I do have a story I want to do about jinn. Actually, the story I just got published was about a jinn. But I have another idea I want to do with gins. I love the idea of gins. Gins fascinate me. So,
Yes. There's a lot you could do with that in a horror aspect.
well, gins just really
sure.
don't like us. They don't like us at all.
All right.
So.
Let's stop talking about them then.
Okay. Trust me. Yeah, you really shouldn't.
Well, talking about the green room and
Yes.
speaking of, he who should not be named.
Who's that?
How do you feel about David Green?
The sexy
He's
David
bad at
Green.
you here with me and my chaotic self.
I'm fine. I'm cool with that. That's fine. He's just upset. I kept calling him about his sexy, sultry eyes.
Did he do his Connery voice? Because
No, he never did. He never
he
did.
didn't. Oh, I feel gypped.
Never did. Yes. He never did.
Well, because I was running around doing stuff. And I had
Right.
to miss the last bit of it. So, but how do you feel? Like, are you okay with the decision? Are you added to his list of growing nemesis?
Added to my list of people that I take down. No. When I went into this, I knew it was going to be a hell of a good show because JD and I have a really good energy together. So I knew it was going to be a lot of fun. I also knew that when I went in, I got like I was telling Joe, I had like 10 different rants I had been working on over on the side. And so I had a whole over here on the side, and I had written them up as scripts. And I decided to pick 3 out of the 10. And then afterwards, of course, I was like, doggone it, he pulled the people of color card. Damn it, I should have used this one over here. And I did kind of like, oh man, I could have used this one. I could have done that one. I could have done the whole women in horror things. I have a whole rant about how women are completely just not are looked down on in the horror genre, which fascinates me because
Really?
Oh yes. Oh my God. I have taken stories to place. Oh hell, when I did Nashville Comic Con. People would come up to our table, instantly talking to my husband because obviously he's the author. I'm sorry. Do you see my name? Does that look like a man's name? Anyway, but there was one time I took a story, read it, and this guy refused to believe that I wrote it. He says, "No, yeah." Don't get me started. But the deal is they think that we can't write horror. And I'm like, why would you think this?
I have literally never come across anybody. I've not had
Maybe
this
it's because I'm
experience.
older and they just all these old fucks. I don't know. But
Ah,
it's just they think that women.
I had a list too and second guessed the choices.
Me too. So it just I've often complained that women, we see more blood than men will ever see. We deal with being prey more than a man will ever understand. You don't understand what we grow up being prey. We are told as a young little girl, especially once you're in puberty, that boys are going to start looking at you different, and not hey boys don't do the things. It's hey girls better not get raped. Did you not get that? Man, okay, I'm older than you are.
I will tell you what. Here's to give you a frame for my growing up. I was a tomboy, so I hung out with a lot
Me
of
too.
boys.
Yeah.
And one time, a guy friend of mine put his arm around me and we're walking, and he was like, "What would you do if I raped you right now?" Like, we're walking at night. It was in a
Yeah.
secluded place, something like that. And I turned and I kneed him as hard as I could in his
Yes.
balls.
I will kill you.
And
Do
he
you
went
not know
down.
me?
And I was
Yeah.
like, "Oh, did you not want me to actually show you?"
Show you what I would do if you tried to violate my personage? But as a child, as a woman, as a girl, you are told that. And you're raised with that, constantly wondering which one of you mofos are going to try to hurt me.
And
Like
see,
with her,
I learned real quick to stand up to those mofos
always.
and not take that shit.
No, they
So
look
that
my
is an energy that I exude at all times.
all times, all times. Because my mother used to say, my sister was like 5'9", much bigger than I am, but she is like bully bait. If there's a bully,
Boys are dumb. This is
they
what I
are
tell
they are
my
dumb.
daughter all
God
the
love them.
time.
They're dumb. But I have never had bullies, and it was my
And yet
mother
we
used
like
to.
them. So does that make us even dumber? I often
Man, you get older. Trust me, you just get bored with them. You want more cats. You just want more cats.
cats. Is that
My mother used to say people could look in my eyes and tell I just didn't give a damn. So they never gave me any crap. I never really had a whole lot of crap. But I do remember being, just brought up to be afraid.
Nikki means victory. It does
It
not mean
does.
to take crap.
Yeah, Nicole means victory over people
How
or
do
a
you spell your
warrior.
Nicole?
Yeah, my Nicole, my Nicole is my
How do you
actual birth
spell it?
name. Nicole.
All right, we're there too.
Yeah, no H's. That Nicole
The
thing, I
H's.
don't get it. I don't like it. But no,
I have a
Nicole
cousin
is.
who spells hers with a Q and a U.
I don't like that
And I
either.
kind of applaud it for being different, but it also was like, well, at least it's not an H.
I don't. I just don't like Nicole. It just. Ugh.
Yeah, it sounds like asshole,
It
right?
does.
I think
Just-
that's it. We knew
It's just
even.
squeegee. It's just squeegee. I don't like it. No. Okay. I'm sober. I just want to put that out there right now.
Well, you're not writing yet, which I
I am
thought,
not.
by the way, should have just won you the whole thing because that tip on the
Okay, I was a
0.07%.
little amazed I
Useful.
did not, considering David Green one is Irish,
I know.
and so I was kind of going to that. But I was amazed at kind of the kickback I got about, well, I don't drink, so bling, bling, bling. I'm like, but then fucking exercise, man. I'm simply saying neuroscience say you can do this to turn off this. And if you don't want to drink, don't drink. But
Go
you,
punch something.
yeah, do something, anything that turns this off. For me, like for instance, trust me, I will procrastinate like everything, and basically I just have to sit myself down and just do it. 'Cause I know that once I get started, it's going to be great. I'm going to get the endorphins, and it's going to be awesome. But it's so scary that you're going to screw up,
Yeah.
or it's so scary that you're not going to. For me, it's like trying to find. I used to call it like being a heroine, trying to find the vein. That's what I tell my husband. I just can't find the vein. I can't find the vein. But once I find the vein, whoosh, I'm there. But I got to find that vein. And like right now I'm working on this particular story, and I'm really taking my time. It's my story. I'm having fun with it, and I'm like, journaling it
Drawing
out,
pictures? Is that a Yeti?
drawing pictures. 'Cause I needed to know. No, it's a golem. I needed
Okay.
to know what my golem was going to
No.
be.
Nikki.
What?
Can you put it up and let us see, or is there too many spoilers?
No, it's no spoilers. It's
I
just,
want to see
oh,
the golem.
this is my little golem. So the deal is he's very, very old.
Very cute.
So the deal he's old. He was made in the time of Solomon, and this story takes place in the 1600s, Elizabethan England. And by this time, the only thing keeping him together is almost like a gibbet kind of contraption made of iron and leather, and that's how he's basically just even staying together
Aw.
as a thing.
As it's rusting and stuff,
Everything.
right?
I even got one of these little guys. This is my little golem that I got off of Etsy. He's my little golem to
Your little inspiration.
my inspiration. But yeah, the whole story got started years ago when my son just kind of popped into my office one day and said, "Hey, Mom, I was thinking, if rats were to eat a golem, would they like become like supercharged or get like powers?" I don't know. And I started playing with that idea of what would happen if rats ate a golem. So yeah, it's gonna be cool. It's gonna be a lot of fun.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I think we are getting on, and Joe can
Probably.
correct me in the chat if I'm wrong, but getting on towards the end, right?
I
We're
know. We're
supposed
just.
to,
Yeah, I know. Sorry.
which is a
You,
great place to be. You've got just so many stories. I
you've got to
absolutely
rein
love
me
it.
in. I will just flop all over the place.
So, I do have one oh, I've got 7 minutes yet.
Oh,
Okay,
cool.
I
What do
didn't
you need?
know because things got a little
Off the.
kerfluffed,
Yeah.
right? So, um, I guess what I'd like to know, I was on your website and looking at, you've
Oh
also
God.
got a picture of you as Wednesday Adams.
Oh God, that was her investigation. Actually, we
Oh, is
had
it?
well, we had a party, a Christmas party. I mean, a Halloween party with my ghost hunting buds at this particular. Jesus, what house was that? I don't even remember now. It was a supposedly haunted house, and we kind of did a slash investigation slash kind of party kind of thing.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
cool.
it was
See,
fun.
there is a story behind that.
Yeah.
So you grew up probably watching
Oh, the Adams? Yes. I preferred
the
the
black
Adams
and
over the
white.
Munsters. Oh,
Yeah.
yes. As a kid coming home from school, and it would be on after school. So yeah, I remember the yeah. I
Have you
always liked
caught
Morticia.
have you caught the new cartoon?
Cartoon? No, I've not
Yeah,
watched cartoon.
they released a couple of movies recently
Yeah, they did, but I've not watched them.
with
I
like
did
the actual style of
oh of Adams, Charles
uh,
Adams. Like you
the
could
actual drawings
yeah,
and the
really creepy.
cartoons. And I think they did a really good job.
Oh, I have to
So
check them out.
if you're into it and haven't seen it yet,
I'm always looking for new stuff. I mean, I did watch
it's
the Wednesday Netflix or whatever it was.
mhm.
That was fun. It's very teen. It's very teen drama.
Yeah, it was very CW.
God, so CW.
That's what
Oh
I
my
would say.
God. It was
I
very
did not
CW.
care for it, and I
It's
went
okay.
in crying
No,
to
no,
care.
it's okay. But it's very CW. It's very teen drama. And again, I'm too old for that stuff. So that's why I could never get into Buffy. I'm sorry, I couldn't get into Buffy. I just kept going. I just can't too old. Just can't.
And see, Buffy gets really good as time goes on. I'm
Really?
usually not like a first season kind of person, but if you can keep me till the second,
I should try to give her. I just can't. Oh, maybe I should try. I should try, but no. I like Supernatural. I just kind of fell into that. But again, that's just basically two underwear models fighting monsters. That's all that is.
that's another one. It's too CW for me.
It's way CW.
I
So
I,
CW.
I don't know. I just
But the
have an
biggest thing, the
aversion.
reason Supernatural is so good is that they're so good to their fans.
Mm,
The
gotta have fan service.
the fandom loves them so much, and they do. They just I know a woman who has half of her house done in supernatural decor, but she's a big fan kind of she's a fandom kind of person. She's big into the fans, and I'm just not. No, I mean, I'm not spending
You
two
like
hundred
what you like.
dollars. No,
Yeah.
trust me, I'm never gonna. If you dig that, you dig it. If you like Twilight, knock yourself out. I tried to read the Twilight book just to see what the hell, why are these things so popular? And I understand why. They're an easy read, very easy read, and it's got a weird kind of daddy lover fixation, which some chicks dig. No, not gonna. Whatever, man. Whatever. But oh well.
I uh I looked at Twilight when I was very first thinking about writing, and I was like, "What?" Because it was blown up back then,
Right, exactly.
and I was like, "Okay, what's going on with this?" And I read 3 pages of it and just about died, and it was like, "I'm gonna write because if this shit can get published."
Trust me.
So it
Trust
was
me.
inspirational. Then fast forward to years later, after I learned the craft and gone through
Mhm.
the paces and released a book and everything, and I'm like, I have a very different view and a respect for anybody who
I
can do
respect
this
anyone
and
who
put it out there.
finishes a story. Who
Yes.
finishes a story and actually puts something out there. Because putting something out there, you are going out in public with your pants down.
Yeah, and you're gonna resonate with who you resonate with, and it doesn't
Exactly.
mean that a story is necessarily bad. It's just maybe not right for you,
Right.
right?
No, I have read bad stories, but
Well, and I just think too of things that like I won't do in my writing.
I
Like
learn. I learn from them. I learn from bad stories.
yeah, and then I'll
Bad.
see them like left, right, and center in other stories.
Mhm.
Filter words come to mind. Like I don't like them in my writing when I'm doing my editing. I try to advise taking them out. But I have a friend who might be watching. I'm not sure. Her name is Allison, who writes, and like that's the voice of the character is with filter words.
Oh, okay.
And so like I have to completely shut off that part of my brain and just enjoy it from that voice. And it's
Yeah.
been a good experience for me in that way, I think, to see that there's just maybe the different preferences, you know.
Also, now that you're more in the biz and stuff, layouts. If a book is not properly laid out, I will be like, oh God, I just what are you doing? No gutters. There's no headers. There's no. It's just
That's why I just got vellum. In fact, you can see I've got a little Mac back here. I don't know if you can. Can you? Yeah.
yeah. I see 'em, yeah. Oh, I have one
Mac
of
Pro.
those.
I love those things.
I do. I have actually. I bought some. Yes, I have a couple of crows I was going to have in my Southern Festival of Books booth, which is another horror story. But
Yeah.
yes, I don't know where
A
they are now.
Mac entirely for vellum. Because I just didn't want to deal with it. I was like, just gonna make this nice and easy and simple, and
Just let them. Yeah, I have a friend actually. Rumble, one of my books. He did my cover as well as the layout because he's really good at it. And laying out a story, a book is a talent, and it's something. Pay for it, people. Pay for it. Trust me.
it's a good experience.
It
All
just
right.
makes, yeah, it's just better for you and selling your book, marketing. People are going to look at your book if the layout's bad and go, this is
Yeah,
self-published.
you're already not in the door, even if you
I've
got
been-
them to pick it up. Exactly. So,
They're going to, I come independently published versus self-published.
all right, I've got one more quick question.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
How do you feel about garden gnomes?
They creep me out.
They creep you
I
out.
do not trust them.
All right,
I do not trust them.
Good form. Okay, we are at an end now, officially.
Yes.
We managed to keep this all together after a little rough start. So for Ray for the Nickies.
Yay!
Yeah. So why don't you tell people where they can find you and
All the things.
what's your work? Maybe a little bit about what you already went into what you're working on.
Oh yeah, I'm
next.
working on right now. This is a collection of stories called "The Politics of Children." Boom, 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 and other stories of revenge. It's basically a collection of stories where the main theme of it is revenge, and it runs a plethora of different genres. Anyway, you can find me pretty much everywhere. I'm on Facebook, I'm on TikTok, I'm on Twitter. Look me up as Nick Cubed, NIKCUBED, Nick Cubed.
Nick
Instagram,
Cubed, I like that.
Nick Cubed. Yeah, it's from because I work in a cube. My day job is a cube job, so I'm Nick Cubed. I'm all those places. You can go to my thing there, the little website. Don't make me do that website. And I try to be everywhere. I'm going to be at the Tennessee Haunts and Legends come October. It's in Tennessee if you're ever around. And then next April, I got a table at the next AuthorCon. I was so excited because those tables completely sold out like in 80 seconds.
And you just happen to be on there?
Oh, girl, happened to be. Girl, I sat there. I was like that. And I was waiting. As soon as it came on, I had never typed so fast in my life. And I got another table there at AuthorCon. Yeah, so that's my next two big things I'm going to be doing soon.
That's amazing. And it sounds like a lot of fun. So
AuthorCon's great. It's all horror. So
follow Nikki if you don't already.
Yes.
She is just prolific and full of stories. So go pick some up. So. And thank you everybody for joining us for Basking in the Evergreen. Thank you for David and JD earlier as well. And it's always time to go indie now.
Go indie now. Bye.